The night my son and his wife left me eating cold pasta alone, I thought the worst part was the loneliness. I was wrong. Because 3 hours later, they stumbled through the front door, laughing drunk, dressed up from a fancy promotion dinner. I was never invited to, only to freeze when they saw my suitcase by the bedroom door and the house deed spread across the table. Their faces drained at the same time. Amanda whispered, "What? What is this?" I looked at both of them and said the sentence they never expected to hear. "This house belongs to me. And tonight, I'm leaving." Daniel's voice cracked. "Mom, please wait. We can talk about this." But I wasn't the quiet woman they had taken for granted for 3 years. Not anymore. And the moment I walked out that door, everything in their world began to fall apart. I still remember the exact moment everything inside me went quiet. It was 7 to 12 p.m. I was standing in the kitchen of my son's beautiful 2-story home in Willow Creek subdivision, staring at a half-empty plastic container of cold pasta. The house was spotless because I'd cleaned it. The laundry was folded because I'd washed it. The kids' backpacks were lined neatly by the door because I'd made sure they didn't forget anything. The only thing in the house that felt out of place was me. My name is Helen Parker. I'm 68, and for the past 3 years, I've lived with my son Daniel, his wife Amanda, and their 2 kids Liam and Chloe here on the outskirts of Chicago. When my husband died, Daniel convinced me to sell our old home in Old Town and move somewhere peaceful. I gave him almost everything from the sale, nearly my entire retirement, because he promised Mom, this house is ours. You'll always belong here, but belonging isn't something you can buy. That night, while I stood in the kitchen, deciding whether to microwave cold pasta or just go to bed hungry, my phone buzzed. A message from Amanda. "Mom, please heat up the leftovers. Don't waste food. We're having dinner downtown, late night. Don't wait up." I blinked at the message, then opened Instagram. That's when I saw it. A picture posted 5 minutes earlier, Amanda laughing in a designer dress, Daniel beside her, both holding glasses of red wine. Liam and Chloe sat at the table between them, dressed up in little outfits I had ironed that morning. Behind them, a glowing sign that read, "Congratulations, Regional Director." They were celebrating Amanda's promotion. My family, my grandchildren, my own son, all dressed up, all smiling, all out celebrating. And I hadn't been invited. Not as a mother, not as a grandmother, not even as the person who'd poured her savings into the house behind them. Just forgotten. No, ignored. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I didn't slam a single cabinet door. I simply exhaled. Slowly, quietly, like my lungs had finally accepted something they'd been resisting for years. And that's when I opened the drawer under the coffee maker and pulled out something I had hidden months ago. A small black notebook. My ledger. Every expense. Every grocery run. Every utility bill. Every doctor visit. Every piece of the home that they had been paying for. I had documented everything. Because for a long time, I'd felt something wasn't right. Amanda wasn't just busy, she was cold, dismissive, sharp in the way people are when they're trying not to show what they truly feel. As for Daniel, he was kind but exhausted, stretched thin, always saying, "Mom, can we talk later?" Later never came. And me, well, I had become the live-in nanny maid cook, chauffeur dog walker, and emotional sponge, just without a paycheck. 3 years earlier when I moved in, I thought I was joining a home, but I had unknowingly stepped into a job. Still holding the ledger, I turned toward the hallway, toward the spare bedroom they called my space. On the surface, it looked cozy, a lamp, a rocking chair I'd bought with my husband 30 years ago, a quilt my grandmother made. But sitting on the bed was the thing that mattered most, a worn navy blue document folder. Inside it was the secret I had kept for 6 months, the property deed. The deed Daniel had assured me was just paperwork and didn't matter. The deed that listed only one owner, Helen Marie Parker. Me. Every inch of the house they lived in, every wall, every tile, every cabinet I cleaned was legally mine. They didn't know I had discovered that. They didn't know Amanda had slipped up one night, mentioning something about refinancing her house, which sent me digging. They didn't know I had spent months quietly gathering every bill, every receipt, every timestamp to build a trail of proof. They didn't know that while they celebrated upward mobility and pictured perfect promotions, I had been preparing for the day I'd walk away. Not to hurt them, but to free myself. And tonight, after that text message telling me to heat up leftovers like some live-in servant, I felt something inside me shift with a final certain click. I opened my closet, pulled out my suitcase, set it on the bed. Its zipper sounded like a starting pistol for a marathon I'd been training for in silence. I folded a few shirts, packed my medications, placed the deed folder at the very bottom of the suitcase. Then I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the door, wondering how the house would feel when I wasn't the one holding it together anymore. Would the laundry magically wash itself? Would the kids pack their school lunches? Would the floors stay clean? Would the fridge refill itself? Would they finally realize what I had been doing? Or only notice the day it stopped, when I heard the garage door open hours earlier than expected? I closed my suitcase and stood up straight, calmer than I'd felt in years. Footsteps, laughter, the jingle of keys. Then Daniel's voice, "Mom, you still awake?" Yes, very awake. Before I tell you what happened when they walked in and found me standing there with my suitcase packed, let me ask you something. If your family celebrated a promotion without inviting you, would you be hurt if you think Amanda was wrong? Comment 10. So I know I'm not alone. Daniel stepped into the hallway first, yawning and loosening his tie. His cheeks were flushed from wine, and Amanda stumbled slightly as she kicked off her heels, laughing too loudly. The kids were half asleep against their shoulders, the way they always were after these family celebrations I was never part of. He smiled when he saw me standing there. "Mom, you're still up. You should have gone to bed." Amanda chimed in behind him. "Yeah, Helen. Did you get the leftover pasta? I left it on the second shelf so you wouldn't get confused." Confused. Like I couldn't open a refrigerator door without instruction. I didn't answer. I simply stepped aside so they could see the suitcase beside my bed. Daniel blinked. "Are you going somewhere?" "Yes," I said quietly. "Tonight?" Silence tightened the hallway like plastic shrink wrap. Amanda looked from me to the suitcase, then back at me. "Is this a joke?" "No," I said. "Not a joke." Her smile faltered. "Okay, well, where are you going, and why didn't you talk to us first?" I picked up a folder from my nightstand. "You haven't talked to me in 3 years, Amanda." "Not really." Daniel rubbed his forehead. "Mom, please don't start. It's been a long night." A long night. For who? For the people who left me eating cold pasta alone while they toasted expensive wine. I opened the folder, pulled out the property deed, and placed it into Daniel's hands. His face drained of color. This is your name." "Yes." "My name, my house, my mortgage, my taxes, my equity, my everything." Amanda snatched the paper from his hand and scanned it. "No, that can't be right. The realtor said Daniel, didn't you?" Daniel looked stunned, as if the truth had split him open. "I thought they added my name later. I thought we redid the paperwork." "You thought," I repeated softly. "But you never checked. Not once." Amanda's voice turned sharp. "So what, you're kicking us out now, after everything I felt?" Something inside me snapped, not anger, but clarity. "Everything, Amanda. I cooked your meals. I washed your clothes. I walked your dog. I picked your kids up from school when you were too busy at work. I've given you everything I had. And tonight, you couldn't even send me a simple invitation." She opened her mouth, but I lifted my hand. "No. Don't explain. Don't twist it. Don't pretend you didn't know what you were doing." Daniel sank onto the edge of the couch, head in his hands. "Mom, I didn't mean for it to get like this." I looked at him, really looked at him, my little boy who used to cry when he scraped his knee, the one who once told me he'd buy me a big house someday. That little boy was gone. This man didn't even see me standing in front of him anymore. "I'm not kicking anyone out," I said. "I'm leaving." Amanda let out a breath of relief too quickly. "But I'll need the house keys before I go." Her head snapped up. "What? Why, you're living in my home. Under my roof. And until things are legally sorted, I can't leave you with a set of keys that let you do whatever you want in my house. My house, she said under her breath. I decorated it. I furnished it. I made it a home. And I paid for it, I replied. Every inch. For a moment, Amanda's expression cracked. Fear slipped through. Are you going to sue us, Helen? I'm not suing anyone, I said. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. I stepped toward Daniel, gently touching his shoulder. Daniel, I love you. I always will. But loving someone doesn't mean letting them walk over you. He swallowed hard. Where will you go to Maggie's? I said, just for a while. His eyes filled. Please don't leave like this. How else should I leave? I asked softly. Quietly, with a thank you for the leftovers. He flinched. I turned and wheeled my suitcase toward the door. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by two giant hands, one pulling me back into the life I had built for them, and one pushing me forward into the life I had forgotten belonged to me. As I reached the front door, little Chloe suddenly padded down the hallway, rubbing her eyes. Grandma, why are you leaving? Did I do something wrong? My chest broke clean open. I knelt, hugging her tightly. No, sweetheart. You did everything right. This is just something grown-ups need to fix. She sniffled. Will you come back? I hope so, I whispered. But only when everyone here learns how to be kind. When I stepped outside, the cold night air hit me like truth-sharp, honest bracing. I pulled my coat tighter and started walking down the driveway, leaving behind the house I had bought, the family I had held together, and the version of myself who tolerated being invisible. As I reached the end of the street, exhaustion hit me, then fear, then strangely, relief. For the first time in years, nobody needed me. Nobody expected me to fix anything. Nobody was waiting with a list of chores. It was just me, finally. Before I tell you what happened the moment my phone rang, and whose voice was on the other end, let me ask you, if your family treated you like free help, would you walk away too? If yes. Comment 10. So I know you understand what I felt. The night I left Willow Creek, my phone rang just as I reached the end of the subdivision. I expected Daniel. I expected begging, anger, denial, excuses. But the name glowing on my screen was Rachel Whitman, my niece, and more importantly, my lawyer. Aunt Helen, she said, her voice calm but firm. I just read your message. I need you to send me photos of your ledger and the deed. Tonight. You did the right thing by leaving. The right thing. Nobody had said that to me in a long, long time. That night, I slept at Maggie Rosewell's apartment, curled up in a borrowed pajama set that smelled faintly of lavender detergent. The bed was lumpy, the room small, but the peace felt like oxygen after years of breathing through a straw. The next morning, Rachel came by with coffee and her laptop. We're drafting a formal notice, she said. You are the sole owner of that house. They have 30 days to enter a legal agreement with you or vacate the property. My heart clenched, not out of vindictiveness, but out of grief. That's my son's home, I whispered. My grandchildren's home. Rachel put her hand on mine. It's also yours. And your kindness shouldn't be used against you. 2 days later, I received a voicemail from Daniel. Mom, please, let me see you. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I didn't respond. Not yet. Because the next call was from Amanda, her voice shaking brittle like glass on the edge of breaking. Helen, listen. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I've been stressed. Promotion, work, kids. I wasn't thinking. But I had spent 3 years listening to explanations that sounded like apologies, but healed nothing. So I replied softly, You'll have a chance to speak. At the notary meeting, with Rachel present. A small inhale of panic crackled through the phone. You got a lawyer involved. Yes, Amanda. That's what people do when they need fairness. And I hung up. The meeting at Oak Ridge Notary Services happened the following Monday. The room was bright white professional, too clean for the amount of truth about to spill into it. Daniel looked 10 years older. Amanda looked like she'd slept 3 hours in as many days. I walked in with Rachel. I felt steady, not vengeful, just steady. The notary slid the documents across the table. Mrs. Parker is the legal owner of the Willow Creek property. As of now, she is choosing not to evict anyone. Instead, yes, I said, gently taking over. Instead, I'm offering a structured agreement. Amanda swallowed hard. What kind of agreement? I looked at both of them, my son, my daughter-in-law. Two people who had forgotten the simplest things: gratitude, empathy, humility. You will keep living in the house, I said. But we're restructuring ownership. 60% goes to me, 40% to you both. Legally, on paper. Daniel nodded slowly, tears welling. That's fair, Amanda blinked. And that's it? No, I replied softly. That's not it. I slid another document across the table. For 6 months, a tenant I approve, Laura Bennett, and her 2 children will move into the downstairs suite. They will have full access to the kitchen and living room. Amanda stared at me like I'd spoken in another language. You want us to live with strangers? My voice stayed steady. No. I want you to understand what it feels like when someone moves into your space, expects help, expects grace, expects patience, and you learn to give it with kindness. Amanda's lips trembled. Helen, please. I didn't mean intentions don't change behaviors, I said quietly. Choices do. Rachel added, this agreement is legal binding and temporary. After 6 months, Mrs. Parker will evaluate whether further changes are necessary. Daniel wiped his eyes. I'll do it, Mom. Whatever you need. For the first time in years, I saw the little boy who used to hold my hand crossing the street. Not the tired man who let everything slip. Amanda, meanwhile, crumbled, not in anger, but in something that looked frighteningly like honesty. I was jealous, she whispered, of how the kids adored you, of how Daniel always talked to you, of how you made everything look so easy. I took it out on you, and I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. I didn't hug her. I didn't reach across the table, but I nodded. Thank you. It matters. Sometimes forgiveness isn't a grand gesture. Sometimes it's simply refusing to hate someone who is finally telling the truth. Over the next months, everything changed. Laura and her children moved in, turning the house into a place full of life and noise and humility. Amanda learned to share the kitchen. Daniel learned to say thank you more than once a week. Liam and Chloe learned what respect looks like in real time. And me, I rented a small apartment overlooking the river in Chicago. I bought new curtains. I planted basil on the windowsill. On Sunday mornings, I met Rachel for brunch and told her about my new quilting club. I was alone, but never lonely. 6 months later, Amanda called me again. Helen, can we meet? I want to buy your share of the house. I want to do it right this time. Not because I deserve it, but because I want to earn it. And I realized something: I had left that house to reclaim my worth. But my leaving had taught them their own. The house didn't just change ownership, it learned how to breathe. Mine, theirs. All of ours finally equal. Before I let this story go, let me ask you, how did this ending make you feel? If you stayed with me to the last word, comment 100. So I know you were here. And tell me, where are you watching from the US, Europe, or somewhere else? If this story touched you, please share it so more people can hear it.